On this edition of Maury County Now, learn how you can push the pain away. Historic Maury County lets you in the Athenaeum for free. Step inside for a little taste of history. And finally, learn about mental health. All this and more on this edition of Maury County Now. Hello and welcome to Maury County Now, Columbia and Maury County's magazine news show covering Maury County. Pain isn't always in the mind, and sometimes we need healing hands. We spoke with Cameron Hammer of A Well Needed Massage on how he can lend a helping hand or two.
Hi, I'm Cameron Hammer. I'm a licensed massage therapist in Franklin, Tennessee, and I own A Well Needed Massage. A Well Needed Massage is a massage practice located in Franklin. We have two locations, one inside Half Moon Yoga and one inside Advanced Health and Wellness. We really focus on more athletes and focusing on getting rid of pain, increasing range of motion, along with general well-being. If you're in pain, that's something that we really like to help with. We don't necessarily just do fluff and puff type massages. We really like to get in there, fix the problem, and instead of just going after the symptoms, we like to actually go after the source. I started the idea of wanting to help people when I was about 7 years old, and I actually wanted to become a physical therapist. Through time and through working in a physical therapy office, I ended up changing my mind, and when I moved to Tennessee from California, I ended up going into massage school and kind of going after the same aspect of life. To help with your range of motion, help with your pain, I use several different techniques. I use cupping, which is an ancient Chinese technique, using vacuum cups to suck up the skin to really create a suction and help with the myofascial work. I do trigger point work, I do deep tissue, Swedish, and then also sports massage. A lot of times what people think is when it comes to muscles is the muscles are kind of more, everyone thinks that when you have a tight muscle, muscle is more tight, pulled tight, when really it's actually more taut. And so what we do is we're helping lengthen those muscles so that you have more range of motion and you have more ability to kind of sit in the positions that you're supposed to sit in. If you're on the fence and you're living in pain but you don't necessarily want to go to a doctor, this is something that is a much easier, gentle approach or non-invasive approach, so that way you can start to get some relief, whether it's the muscles, tissue, loosen up the muscles so that the bones start feeling a little better, that things kind of work a little bit better, because everything in the body is kind of connected. So if you're kind of on the fence about just the idea of massage because you think it's weird or anything, we can work through just about anything, whether it's staying fully clothed on the sheet or on the table, or you can work as way as whatever comfort level that you have. Our hours vary from day to day depending on the day, but it's usually about 10 to 6. And actually now that we have two locations with multiple therapists, we can go 7 days a week. We also make house calls to anywhere in Greater or Middle Tennessee. So if you're wanting to contact us or have any more questions, you can either go to our website at www.awellneededmassagefranklin.com. You can also email me at info@awellneededmassagefranklin.com, or even call me at 615-476-5461.
Adam Southern is back, this time to give you free access to the Athenaeum, only on this edition of Historic Maury County.
Hello, I'm Adam Southern, and this is another edition of Historic Maury County. And today we're at the beautiful Athenaeum Rectory in historic downtown Columbia. Now, the Athenaeum is one of my favorite places for many reasons. Not only is this one of the most historic places in all of downtown Columbia, but it's also where I met my wife, so it's always near and dear to my heart. This home was built in 1835 and completed in 1837. James K. Polk's nephew, Samuel Polk Walker, had the home built but never lived here. Instead, he lived with his family at Raleigh Hill, just down the street. The first family to live here was the Smith family, Reverend Franklin and Gillette Smith, his wife Sarah, and their children. They come to Columbia in 1837, and they move into the Athenaeum. Samuel Polk Walker had this home here, and it's right next door to the Columbia Female Institute, which Reverend Smith came to Columbia to take charge of. So he was able to get this home, and the only changes that they made to the home were the front and back doors here. These were solid wood doors when they arrived in 1837, and Mrs. Smith wanted more natural light in the room, so she had the wooden panels removed to let more natural light into the room. Reverend Smith continued to serve as headmaster of the Columbia Female Institute until 1851, and that's when he opened his own school, the Columbia Athenaeum, in 1852. And that's where the home takes its name, from the Athenaeum School for Girls. And the Smith family continues to run that school until the early 1900s, and they kind of see the writing on the wall, and they get involved with public education and close their private school. And the Athenaeum campus is actually sold to the city of Columbia, and they use it for an early public high school. And in 1915, they build the first central high school on the location of the Athenaeum School. Now, the Smith family continues to live in this home from 1837 until 1974. Members of the Smith family live in this home continuously. So we've only had 2 owners. One never lived here, and the other was the Smith family. In the 1970s, the family donates this property to the Maury County Association for the Preservation of Tennessee Antiquities, APTA. And we own and operate it today as a historic site and museum. As a historic site, you can come and tour the Athenaeum, but of course you have to pay to do that. But in May, you can come and visit us for free during our Free Day in May event on Saturday, May 13th from 10 until 4. While here on the 13th, of course, you'll get to tour the Athenaeum and hear about the history and see the different rooms of the home. But you'll also get to hear about some of our ongoing projects, like our restoration. Right now, we have workers working on the office behind the house. This is a $10,000 project that's been going on for a couple of weeks now, so you'll get to see that, see the progress. But you also get to hear our future plans, like possibly rebuilding a carriage house here on the property, and then starting to reclaim the original 20 acres that would have surrounded the property. Those are long-term goals, but goals that we have for this site. Also here, be sure to look at what we've changed here at the Athenaeum. We've changed the rooms and the layout, reappointed a lot of furniture. So things look different than the last time you were here, I'm sure. So I hope you'll come and visit us on Saturday, May 13th from 10 to 4. And be sure to come visit me at the library too. Thank you.
We'll be back with more Maury County Now after this.
You don't want just a house. You want a home, something comfy and cozy that brings your family together. And eScore has a few tips to help you get there. HVAC replacement and duct sealing are 2 key elements in creating a more comfortable and energy-efficient home. Is your HVAC equipment more than 10 years old, need frequent repairs, or working overtime to keep your home comfortable? Are your ducts leaking conditioned air under your house? Or are the cracks in your return air system circulating dirty air into your home? If you answered yes to any of the previous questions, well, it might be time for an upgrade. Energy Star estimates that the typical home loses 20 to 40% of its conditioned air in the ductwork. That's like throwing away money every day. Having an eScore contractor professionally seal and insulate your leaky ducts may be the single most important thing you can do to improve your home's energy performance. Together, properly sealing and insulating your duct system and upgrading to an energy-efficient HVAC unit can help your home be more comfortable, reduce excessive dust and costly energy bills, and improve the quality of the air inside your home. Want to make your house the home you've always wanted? After making these important upgrades, take advantage of your free eScore evaluation to receive cash rebates and instant savings measures. Visit our website today at 2escore.com or call us at 1-855-2eScore.
Really? Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point there, Smokey.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
And now, back to more Maury County Now.
Maury County always has its fair share of special guests. World-renowned chef Walter Stave graced the city of Columbia with his skill, wit, and award-winning television series, A Taste of History.
Hi, I'm Chef Walter Stave, 10-time Emmy Award-winning creator and executive producer of A Taste of History. And I have the pleasure to come back here to this beautiful, beautiful town of Columbia, Tennessee. Not many people know about Jaynes Polk, neither did I. So we got approached by Beth Burns and she said, you must come down, there's a story that you got to see. I decided, let's take a look at it. And obviously, when I came, everything that she told me was exactly the way it was. I mean, there is a president that did a lot for the country, but doesn't get enough respect or credit or enough knowledge. I mean, yes, they teach him in school, but nobody teaches the way we teach on my program, because we mix food and history together and bring people to the location. I operate a restaurant for 23 years that was built in 1773. And obviously the research I had to do to operate this restaurant, which is owned by the National Park Service, the Department of Interior, there's so much more out there. We got to give it to a bigger audience, a much broader audience got to see. And so we decided to do the show called A Taste of History. And the first season, we ended up with 2 Emmys to our name. We filmed up in Monticello with Thomas Jefferson's estate, and we knew we were on the right track.
Hi, I'm Susie Jackson, and I'm the interpretive cook at the James K. Polk home. I've been cooking for them for approximately 15 years. I started cooking for their camps, the children's summer camps, and I started cooking biscuits over the open hearth. I had done Civil War reenacting, and we always portrayed civilians, and a lot of what we did was do cooking demonstrations. So I just kind of fell into the Polk home and doing that. When Chef Walter needed someone to help with coming down to the Polk home, he wanted somebody who was an experienced cook and who actually had cooked over the fire. So all my years of volunteering finally paid off, and then I got this wonderful opportunity. He let me direct what I wanted to do. He said he wanted frontier cooking. This was a frontier when James K. Polk was here. And that's the kind of food he wanted, very practical food with the ingredients people would have, nothing fancy, which is right up my alley.
I would say my favorite thing about Columbia is the friendliness of the people. People are open, people are nice. I live in Philadelphia, so I can appreciate the cleanliness of Columbia. I'll be back soon, I guarantee you that. There's so much more to cover, especially with the whole Civil War and other areas. So it was a remarkable journey to begin with. And tonight, it obviously comes all together because we are previewing the show that we taped here in November a year ago, and it's going to go fully on air May 2nd, and the whole world is going to know about Columbia, and I hope everybody's going to come here and see the Jaynes Polk house. My ultimate words of wisdom is what Thomas Jefferson said: you must understand the past to understand the future. So we have to look back, and I think my show is exactly doing that. I go into the homes of presidents, I go into the homes of other important people during the 18th century and bring it to life. And I think there's nothing better than food and history as a combination, because history and food are combined, always. The name of the show is called A Taste of History. And matter of fact, you can actually look at it on Amazon Prime, season 1 to 6, or wait until it comes on RLTV.
With recent events, it's important for us to take a step back, analyze who we are, and talk about hard subjects. We spoke with mental health professionals about the signs, symptoms, and hope in dealing with mental illness.
My name is John Nichols. I'm a clinical psychotherapist. I'm licensed with the state of Tennessee to do counseling and therapy with teens, adults, and couples is who I specialize with. Talking about mental health and the importance of mental health, I mean, I think a lot of times when we think of being healthy, we think of getting enough sleep and having a proper diet, getting enough exercise. But there's also that mental component. If you're not mentally healthy, if you're not able to manage your moods and behaviors in a functional way, then everything else falls apart too. I think that there's a pretty big stigma still nowadays with people seeking help for mental health issues. What I tell people in my practice is everybody has stuff. We all have things that we carry around with us that are not working for us anymore. And I feel like one of the benefits of counseling is to help get these naturally occurring moods and behaviors that are getting out of whack and putting them back into that normal range where it's working for you.
Hi, my name is Letizia Baxter-Smith, and I'm a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, board certified. Today I want to talk to you guys about the stigma of mental health and how you're able to get around that if you're having problems with that. You know, we all understand that sometimes you may have problems with your heart or your kidneys or your lungs. So you could have high blood pressure, and we all understand that that may require diet, exercise, certain medications, and we're willing to do our part for the most part to try to improve that. But for some reason, when it comes to the brain, we consider that to be a whole nother ballgame, but it really is the same. You certainly have parts of your brain that cannot be functioning correctly, and there are ways that we can help treat that and help improve you. So when you think about that, there are medications, there are therapies, there are behavioral modifications, all of those types of things can help out in the process.
Okay, well, I think the things that we think about most when we think of mental health, we think of like depression and anxiety. People that are suffering from depression, things to look out for would be withdrawing socially, you know, people who don't seem to be finding pleasure in things that they normally did. People, we could expect to see things like isolating, and students especially would see things like maybe a drop in grades when they normally did well, not wanting to participate in extracurricular activities, not wanting to participate in class, not turning in work. We often see things too, effects with sleep. Sometimes they may be sleeping too much, sometimes they may not be sleeping at all. Decrease in appetite, a decrease in just normal self-care, like not wanting to shower or groom themselves, not really concerned about their appearance. When we see people who suffer from anxiety, one of the things that we think about is like chronic worrying, everything's an oil spill, sometimes over-interpreting events as being threatening or perhaps harmful. And oftentimes too, we see people with anxiety that seem to be really angry a lot of times when things go wrong. They seem to get really upset, and oftentimes upset in a way that's out of proportion of what's happening. So, you know, kind of making a mountain out of a molehill, if you will.
So when it comes to a crisis, there are several different things that you can do. What I would highly recommend is reaching out to, if you're in an area where you're with the person, you know that they're safe, there's nothing around that they can use to harm themselves, and you are going to be with them the entire time to make sure of that, then you can certainly call the crisis number. And that's different depending on what area you're in, but a quick Google search, you should be able to find out what the crisis number is in your community. And typically what they do, they have someone who will get on the phone with the individual, talk with them to see if this is a situation where they need to come out and either do a plan of safety to make sure that they're okay until they can get in to see a therapist or a provider, or they will go ahead and consider hospitalization at that time. If you are in a situation where you don't feel like you have that amount of time, or it may be a little bit more of a crucial situation, if you can get them to an emergency room safely, they certainly can get treatment there. If you don't feel like you can get them to an emergency room safely, then I would certainly consider calling 911 if you feel like it's reached that point.
Oftentimes with family, it's amazing how we all kind of do our part to kind of cover up things that are going wrong. And I think oftentimes with a family as well, we're often afraid to acknowledge things as they're happening because we're thinking, well, it'll just get better, or maybe this will go away. It's almost you're afraid of, if you acknowledge what's happening, that you're giving it more power, or if I acknowledge that this person's depressed and that it's really happening. Listening to like those subtle cues that people give us all the time in conversation, you know, like, I just don't feel well, and kind of following up with that, as opposed to just taking that as a bit of information and then casting it away. You know, I think often, not only with family, but people in general, as opposed to really listening when we're having conversations, we're often just waiting on our turn to speak, and we're formulating a response. And so I think one of the big things you can do for a family member, if you do suspect anything, is just to really key in and listen and be present and hear what they're saying, as opposed to thinking of what clever thing I'll be saying next.
I think the one thing that I would tell people about mental health certainly has to do with the slogan at the company that I work with now. There is life after diagnosis. My goal, my job is to make sure that after you have whatever diagnosis it is, that you're able to live your best, most fulfilled life. And people are able to do that. There are people that walk amongst us every day that have a mental illness, and we would not know that. And certainly it's not a death sentence. I think that the stigma kind of suggests such, and that you can't have a life that's fulfilling. So I guess that would be the one thing that I would let people know, is that there's life after diagnosis, and you certainly can get help and treatment and live your best life.
My website is johnnicholspsychotherapy.com. I have a private practice in the Brentwood area. You can easily go to my website and you can book your own appointments there. Also, my office number is 615-448-5800. I usually call people within 24 hours after they leave a message.
So if you are looking to find out more about me and my services, I work for a company here, like I said, in Columbia, Tennessee, called Mental Health Cooperative. The number there is 931-380-3449. I also, if you're interested in becoming a psychiatric nurse practitioner, I also teach at the Vanderbilt School of Nursing. You can certainly look us up online at www.vanderbilt.edu and find out more about our program and what it is that we do there.
To find out more information about any of the stories you've seen on this edition of Maury County Now, check out our website at maurycountynow.com and look in the show notes for more details. Maury County Now is produced by Columbia TNTV. From all of us here at the Maury County Now cast and crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.